I just wanted to give a verbal or a video update on my truck. You can kind of see where I'm at. I've taken the frame. Actually, I pressure cleaned it first with a commercial pressure cleaner. That took down, removed a lot of the paint, and I got about 90% of the undercoating off with the pressure cleaner. It took a lot of the work out of the project. The other thing I did is I cleaned it. This stuff is really good. It's called Awesome. And just use a simple scrubby. You'll get a lot of the paint, a lot of the scale, a lot of the dirt off, and you'll get it down almost to bare metal with just doing that. Then I went ahead and I sprayed down the entire frame with OSPO. It's a surface prep. It converts the rust. It'll eat the rust away, and what it won't eat away, it'll convert. Stuff's pretty good. It's cheap. It's 20 bucks a bottle. I had a number of bolts that broke off. I had one for the bump stop, and most of these here that broke off were 8mm. You can tap out 8mm 5/16. And actually, I had a couple of them of the 10mm that broke. They actually didn't break. The threads were worn out. So I tapped them out to 7/16. So 10mm go to 7/16, 8mm will go to 5/16. So these holes here I tapped out, and I'm going to build a peekaboo or a hideaway backup light, and they'll get mounted here. And then there's two bolts underneath the bed that I tapped out to 5/16 also. But I got 2 coats of 2K primer and at least 3 coats of single stage enamel. This is the stock color, but the actual truck will be the stock color in base plus pearl, blue pearl, and then a clear. But I don't care about the inner side of the truck. I just want to brighten it up. I want to clean it up. And the objective here is to get another 10 years out of 10 years of protection out of the effort here. I really didn't have any rust. The only rust I had actually were at these welds right here. The welds look pretty bad too, but there's no rot or anything like that. The other thing I wanted to mention on another Jeep site, somebody called me out on this. Actually, the guy was quite an asshole. This is SJOOW cable. The service cable. This is 10-3 wire. I've got it running through most of the frame. You'll see there are bulkheads throughout the frame, but there's holes in it. So you can fish a wire through. That cable brings back 12 volts. It brings back my e-brake signal, and one wire is a ground, which I now have a ground stud here that I've welded onto the frame, so I don't know what I'll use that third wire for. I don't necessarily need to bring a ground back anymore. But I'd much rather, this is fine. It's not automotive cable, but it'll be just fine for what I use it for. It's been back here for 2 years. There won't be any grease and oil and that type of thing on this truck that's going to eat through this cable, like this guy said, and destroy it. So it'll work just fine for, and it's super flexible. You can hardwire hardwire. You put a plug on the end of it, and you wire compressors, stationary table saws, large grinders, any heavy machinery. You can wire with that. So it's made to be used in a shop where it's going to be abused. I can't see that just because it's not automotive, quote, automotive wire, that I will have a problem with that. So, but I'll need the 12 volts for 12 volt to the trailer, and to run my hideaway backup lights. So it's an important wire for me to get back here. I don't know what else to go over. I welded also another ground stud up there for the fuel pump. The harness will come back. The only thing I'm going to maintain out of this is my turn signals and tail lights. I'll pull the ground out of here, and then we'll get grounded directly to the stud. I don't know what else to go over. Oh, the undercoating. I watched Chip Foose's videos, and he used this on his C28 truck. So I figured if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me, and the stuff is good. It's almost $12 a can. It took 2 cans to do the side of I just wanted to black out where the wheel wells are. Took 2 cans for that. I picked up 5 more yesterday. I did the tubs and the bed. It calls for 2 coats. I think I've got 5. I just kept applying it until I was happy with the finish. It's got a very nice soft satin finish to it. It's rubberized. Yeah, I guess it is kind of tar based in the sense that it cleans up with mineral spirits, but it's not the old crap that got applied back in the 80s. This stuff's really, really good, and once it sets, it doesn't come off. So it's 3M. You get speed perks and the 20% off. Actually, I got this for $5 a can, or $6 a can, 5 something a can with the discount. So the only thing I have left to do now is I've got to sand down where the bed was on the back of the cab, get that in primer, then I can spin the truck around, get it in here, and unfortunately I don't have a garage big enough that I can pull the truck in and work on it. So I'm stuck out here in the gravel, but I'll have to build tents around here, but I've got to get the body work in the cab finished. I've got to get it painted in the next couple of months. So that's kind of where I'm at. As you can see, I've got the bed painted. This isn't for any kind of beauty contest, but the same thing, I did the same thing to the bottom of the bed that I did to the frame. They got pressure cleaned, scrubbed down, cleaned, treated for rust, primed, and I've got 3 coats of enamel on here. This bed should have actually died a death of 1,000 dents. You can see all the dents in here. I tried to take out the bad ones. There was no rust or rot on this bed except for I had some over here which I repaired with fiberglass. It was actually on the top of the tub where it'll never be seen anyway, and it has nothing to do with the outside of the bed. But whoever used this before me, I guess this is a 3-owner truck, and the first owner abused it terribly. There wasn't a square inch of the rails that were not dented. But I've got way too much invested in this bed now, especially with my tail lights being Frenched in. My bed rails are straight, my sides are straight, there's no rust, so it is what it is. The inside of the bed is going to get spray on, probably use U-Pole brand bed liner. It's whatever it calls for, I'm going to get twice as much, and it'll get 3 or 4 coats. A lot of this stuff will be hidden, and it really won't matter anyway because I'm going to have a tonneau cover on it. I really want a hard cover, so I may have to get a fiberglass cover that may fit, cut it, shrink it down, and then get it wrapped with vinyl, just like the roof on a vinyl car. That's really what I want. But this will never be seen anyway. This truck will never be used for work. The inside of the bed's not going to be seen, so I really don't care. The underside is never going to be seen. Basically, it's just the sides and the tailgate. As long as that's clean and straight, that's all I care about. I got all my bits painted yesterday. The emergency brake bracket, adjustment bracket turned out really nice. Sandblasted, primed, and actually this is some this was actually an aluminum spray paint. I hate rattle cans, but I use on little pieces. And then it got cleared with automotive clear. I got at least 2 coats of clear. Same thing with my tank brackets. This here is it's actually a muffler for an AC system. It is my charcoal canister. The bottom half is filled with bronze wool. The top half is filled with charcoal. And my vents for the gas tank run to this. It works very well. And I got the fuel inlet cleaned up and painted also. Same thing with the exhaust bracket. It turned out pretty nice. Even the bolts, cleaned them all up, de-rusted them. Actually got sandblasted, wire wheeled, and painted. Same thing with the fuel tank. Scrubbed down. It's got like 6 coats of paint on it, primed, painted, and 5 or 6 coats of clear. Main reason is just protection. Like I said, this isn't for a beauty contest, just for protection. So one last thing I'll mention, I took a little special interest in this because if I can do what I want, if I can do the things that I want to do to my truck, I want a hydraulic handbrake in the console. With a hydraulic master cylinder in the console, with a Hurst shifter as my handbrake lever. And so in the meantime, I'm going to hook my cables back up. But my idea is to have a hydraulic line come into here, tee off, and then have use these 2 holes just as you would any other transition from hard line to braided steel, and then run braided steel back to a 2 caliper rear brake, with one being a hand brake, the other being just a regular brake. So this will get used either for cable or hydraulic. So I wanted it cleaned up. But I have big ideas. You see where my wallet lets me go. The tubs are cleaned and blacked out with the same undercoater. They turned out really nice. Fortunately, all my splash guards are in good shape. I'm using all new hardware. When it goes back together, it's going back together clean. It'll be a lot easier to go in there with the hose and spritz it off once it's painted than it will be if I just left it. And I don't like going, I know a lot of guys will black out everything with POR 15. They'll brush it on, whatever. Like I said, it's no beauty, it's not going to win a beauty contest, but I wanted it bright underneath there. I did not want to just black it all out. But now I'm anxious to get, I want to get onto the fun stuff like my Peekaboo backup lights. I want to build and create something fun. But I got to get through this crap first and get the truck painted so I can put the bed back on, put everything else back together. So I'm really not set up for it here, but I'm doing the best I can. Thanks for listening.